वन्देतं मदवारणेन्द्रवदनं मद्भागधेयाकृतिं शुण्डादण्डसुचालनेन जगतां मायान्तरायामयान् विद्राव्यप्रणतिप्रसन्नहृदयो यो मुक्त एव स्वयं रक्षत्यन्वहमात्मनोतिबिरुदं वैद्येशपुत्राभिधम्. So we'll do a quick recap of what we were seeing in the previous class and then continue with today's verses. So we are seeing the conversation that is happening between Karataka and Damanaka. So Damanaka has convinced Karataka by quoting so many verses and so much of traditional knowledge, saying that one has to make use of the opportune moment and take charge and advance oneself. So that is Damanaka's idea. So now Karataka asked him as to how does he know that Pingalaka is Bhayavishta. So how do you know that the king is frightened of something? So for that Karataka aha katham veti bhavan yad bhayavishto yam swami Suro bravit nyayam kimatra yataha uktancha. So katham bhavan veti, how do you know that asmat swami asmakam swami Pingalakaha bhayavishtaha, he is overwhelmed or overpowered by fear? How do you know that? So Damanaka says that this is a very immature question. It is why udiritorthah pashunapi grihyate hayascha nagascha vahanti choditaha anuttama vyuhati pandito janah parengita jnana phalahi buddhayah. So see, to understand something that is spoken, to understand the spoken word, that is done even by pashus. Even pashus can understand the spoken word. So what is not told, what is not expressed, that has to be understood, that has to be inferred by a pandita. So he alone can be called a pandita. So the ultimate purpose of a fine intellect is that of understanding others ingita. Para ingita jnana phalaha hi buddhayah. That is the ultimate point of having a fine mind, a fine intellect. तथा च मनुः आकारैरिङ्गितैर्गत्या चेष्टया भाषणेन च नेत्रवक्त्रविकारैश्च रक्षते अन्तर्गतं मनः. अन्तर्गतं मनः, मनः which is not visible, which is not known outside, how is that identified? As to how is that understood? What is it that is there on one's mind? How do I know that? Akarehi ingitaihi, through facial expressions, through gatya, through movements, cheshta, the different expressions of different limbs of the body, cheshta, whatever cheshta we do, bhashana, through what we speak, and then netra vaktra vikara. Netra vikara is the change in the movement of the eye or the change in the facial expression. Through that one can understand what goes on in one's mind. तदा अद्य येनं भयाकुलं प्राप्य स्वबुद्धिप्रभावेन निर्भयं कृत्वा वशीकृत्य च निजां साचिव्यपदवीं समासादयिष्यामि. So Damanaka tells his plan aloud and clear. Adya yenam bhayakulam prapya. So having caught him in such a situation, in a situation where he is frightened, so buddhi prabhavena, using my intellect, using the prabhava of my buddhi, tam nirbhayam kritva, I am going to make him nirbhaya, I am going to make him fearless, and thereby vashikritya, and thereby I am going to impress him, and then nijam sachivya padavim samasadayushyam. So I am going to attain the post of sachiva, the post of a minister, of his advisor. Karatakaha aha anabhijno bhavan seva dharmasya tat katamenam vashikarishyasi. And now he says, how do you know seva dharma? Okay. How do you know how a king has to be served? Then how are you going to impress him without that knowledge? So bravit katham aham seva anabhijnaha mayahi tatotsange kridata abhyagata sadhunam niti shastram pathata yachrutam seva dharmasya saram tad hridi sthapitam shruyatam tacheva. He says, how do you know that I do not know of seva dharma? And I was playing in the lap of my father, I studied Niti Shastra. How? Because many sadhus used to come meet my father. So when I was playing on his lap in a very playful manner, I mastered Niti Shastra because of the acquaintance of the sadhus that I had during that time. So whatever is the essence of Seva Dharma, I have grasped. I have grasped the principles well. So see, one can always interpret the words of Karataka as, I have never seen you, talking details about Seva Dharma, and I know you to a certain extent. Perhaps you do not know much of the details of Seva Dharma. But then Damanaka says that I may not know the details, does not matter. I know the principle. So, Seva Dharmasya Saram Maya Grihitam Vartate. I know the essential principle of Seva Dharma. So, the person who is a Tattvajna, a person who knows the Tattva, who knows the principle, he can always derive the details. The applications are always derivable from the principles, right? So, I know the essence. I can manage with that. That is what Damanaka says. Saram yat vartate tad hridi sthapitam. That is well placed in my heart. I have grasped it very well. So I will expound to you Seva Dharma now. Okay. So he has started to explain whatever he has learned. So we saw this verse that day. Suvarna pushpitam prithvim vichinvanti narastrayaha shurascha kritavidyascha yascha janati sevitam. So one can imagine the entire earth, Prithvi, as a Suvarna Pushpa, as a golden flower. So who are the ones that are capable of picking this flower? Who is it that is capable? 3 people are capable. Trayaha naraha vichinvanti ityuchyate kavina. So the Kavi says 3 people alone I know of are capable of picking this golden flower. That is, they are able to enjoy the abundant benefit that Mother Earth has to offer. All kinds of benefits that she has to offer. Who is capable of enjoying? Who is the adhikari for the enjoyment of all her abundant wealth? Shuraha kritavidyaha cha yaha cha sevitum janati. So first person is a shura, a courageous person, an adventurous person, an enterprising person who is proactive, who will go around and who will see what is there, what is not there, and he'll make something out of it. Such a person is a shura. And then the next one is a kritavidya, a learned man who knows the details here, who knows what is available where. Okay. This he has known not through his adventurous quality or anything, but because he has spent a lot of time, put effort in learning and accumulating knowledge. With the help of his knowledge, he can get whatever Mother Earth has to offer. Ashura is not a learned man. Okay? He is a very active, adventurous person, so he can go and figure it out on the spot. Such a person is a Shura. A Kritavidya is not like that. He is more of a person who cannot figure it out on the spot. Okay? He has to have had prior learning, and with the help of that, he is able to accomplish things. And then the third category of people are those who belong to Seva Dharma category people, those who have mastered the art of Seva. So you are not a Shura, you are not a Kritavidya. How do you know? So what do you do? There are a lot of Shuras in this world. There are Kritavidyas in this world, and they definitely need a lot of helping around. Okay, in accomplishing various tasks, they are not going to do everything by themselves, right? So by serving these people, yaha sevitum janati, he can also enjoy. So what this verse says, so this was the last verse that we saw the other day, I guess. Go to the next verse. Ye sevakav prabhuhita grahyavakya visheshatah ashrayet parthivam vidvams tadvarenaiva nanyatha. Ye sevakav prabhuhita grahyavakya visheshatah ashrayet parthivam vidvams tadvarenaiva nanyatha. We do the sandhi cheda. Ye sevakaha prabhuhitaha grahyavakyaha visheshatah ashrayet parthivam vidvan tat dvarenaiva So this is about somebody. So this is an advice to a person who is interested in getting acquainted with the king or taking refuge in the king. So a king is not directly accessible. He is accessible only through his sevakas. Right? Sevakas at different level. Even a mantri might be at a very high level. Nevertheless, he is the sevaka for a king. So we have to approach one of these sevakas, and only through these sevakas the king will be accessible. So a vidwan, a wise person who is interested in getting a contact with the king. So what kind of sevakas should he approach is what this verse says. It says, ye sevakaha prabhuhitaha. Those sevakas who are prabhuhitas. Prabhuhita means hita is welfare. The sevakas who are genuinely interested in the welfare of the king. Only such sevakas have to be approached. You have to approach the king only through such a sevaka. And then that alone is not, sufficient. Visheshataha, especially, they are prabhuhitas, but they should have an additional quality. Ye grahyavakyaha bhavanti. They should also exercise a certain power, we can say, in a way that their words are taken seriously by the king. Ragnya yesham vakyani grahyani bhavanti te grahyavakyaha. Arthat, those whose words are taken seriously, are taken. Grahya means what? That which is worthy of being taken. Grahya, it is taken. That advice is heeded too. If this person is going to go and speak something, the king will listen to him. Such a sevaka has to be chosen. So it is not just enough if the sevaka is a prabhuhita. That is a prabhuhitaishi. Somebody who wishes just good for the king, and he is not not a corrupt person who is just interested in looting whatever he comes to royal palace, etc. But he is interested genuinely in the welfare of the king. Apart from that, he is also powerful. Okay, so it's not just about his intention. It is also about his ability. He has to have a certain power in impressing and in being taken serious. Ye evam bhavanti, ye prabhuhitaha bhavanti, visheshatah, especially grahyavakyaha cha bhavanti. Tadwarenaiva, tesham madhyamenaiva, tesham dwarenaiva. Only through them, vidwan parthivam ashrayet. A wise man should approach the king. A wise man should take refuge in the king only through these people, na anyatha. Not through other means. It is not advisable. Not by approaching, let us say, a corrupt sevaka. So he might probably take some bribe from us, okay, and ensure us that, he will get us a meeting with the king, let us say. Some kind of an acquaintance, an introduction with the king will be done by me. Could be the promise of such a sevaka, but such sevakas are not to be trusted, is what the verse says. I hope it is clear. There's a question. Okay. Vichinvanti is Bahuvachana. I'm sorry for the. Sorry, it is not Ekavachana, it is Bahuvachana. Okay, Vichinvanti. Naraha Vichinvanti. Right? So that has to be an agreement there. It is Bahuvachana. All right. The next verse. Yonavetti gunanyasya natam seveta panditaha nahi tasmat phalam kinchit sukrishta dusharadi. Yonavetti gunanyasya natam seveta panditaha nahi tasmat phalam kinchit sukrishta dusharadiva. Again. Another suggestion for an aspiring sevaka, somebody who is interested in taking up seva dharma. See, how should you choose the king? Whom do you serve? You serve a king who is capable of acknowledging good service, right? So, you know the value of his sevakas. Not every king is like that. Okay. Most of the kings could just be entitled and wouldn't bother about who is serving him, what he is doing, etc. So maybe a very few could be very close to him, and that alone, for that too, for some kind of a benefit, he is having them, but he has no genuine interest in the sevaka. Such kings should not be served, is what the verse says. It says, Yasya sevakasya gunan yaha na vetti. So, yes, that which servants guna, servant whose gunas are not known by the king. The king does not know. The king does not understand the great qualities of this particular sevaka. If the king is not able to appreciate the good qualities in the sevaka, tam tadrisham rajanam, okay, that king, panditaha naseveda, is not to be served by an intelligent person. A wise person is not supposed to choose to serve such a king for the sake of money or whatever temporary benefits that one might, see in the service of such a king. It is not to be pursued, is what the verse advises. Why? Tasmat kinchit phalam nahi. You don't get any result out of such a seva. Tasmat kinchidapi phalam nalabhyate. Okay. Not even a little bit of positive result cannot be obtained through such a seva. How? Sukrushtat usharat iva. So usharaha means a barren land, an infertile land. How much ever you plow that land, okay, you try to do. Karushana means plowing the land. So sukrushta means that which is well plowed. Okay. So even akshara bhumi, a barren land, is well plowed. What is the point of it? Yeah, you have plowed it nicely, right? But then it is the very nature of the land to not yield anything. Similarly, it is the very nature of such a king who is not able to identify good sevakas, who is not able to appreciate the good qualities in a sevaka. Such a person is not to be served at all. See, one thing I observed when studying the seva dharma and so many verses, one can understand that seva dharma is not a very, see, when we think of seva, the picture that comes to our mind is that of a menial job, right? Service to somebody is something that is not at all worth considering. It is something that has to be necessarily, we think that the person who is serving is necessarily always exploited by the person who is served. Okay, and this is definitely a menial job, and that seems to be like a superior job or something like that. But it is not so. So when we read these verses, we understand that seva dharma is a type of, it is a vocation, just like any other vocation, the vocation of, let us say, a teaching or ruling or doing some kind of building an enterprise and raising a huge, let us say a huge company kind of thing. Do all that, just like that, seva dharma is an equally respectable vocation, and many people have the aptitude for that. Okay. We all, not everybody is motivated to take up, let us say, not everybody is adventurous and they don't want going around the world and exploring and doing this. That is not of interest to everybody. Similarly, ruling, right, is not of interest to everybody. Similarly, teaching is not of interest to everybody. Majority, when you look at it, they like to take up some kind of a seva dharma, right? So seva dharma is not something that is looked down upon traditionally. In fact, Panchatantra says that it is the most lucrative job. You have to aspire to become the Pradhana Sachiva. And Pradhana Sachiva is who? He is a person who is serving. Right? He is not the king. He is not the person who is ruling. Okay. Of course, in today's context, Pradhana Sevaka is ruling. That is different. But here, in this context, the king is ruling and the Pradhana Sachiva is not the person who is ruling. He is serving the king. So that is how it is. But then it is a very, very lucrative job. So we can think of other, although this is talking only in terms of who is serving a king, we can extend this and understand general seva also from this, right? So many acts of service are there in the society that is required by the society, and many people have the aptitude for it. It is not a dishonorable thing to do, right? So that was one thing I wanted to share. We go to the next verse. Dravya prakritihi nopi sevya gunanvitaha bhavatya jivanam tasmat phalam kalantaradapi. Dravya prakritihi nopi sevya gunanvitaha bhavatya jivanam tasmat phalam kalantaradapi. So once again, the right king has to be served is what is emphasized. It says, we'll do the padacheda. Dravya prakriti hinaha api sevya guna anvitaha bhavati ajivanam tasmat phalam kalantarat api. Now, the verse says, you have to serve a king who is worthy of service. Sevyaha is one who is worthy of seva, one who is worthy of service. Sevya gunanvitaha. So the one who has gunas, okay, nice, fine qualities that are worth serving. Sevya gunaihi yaha anvitaha vartate. Anvitaha ityasya atra yuktaha ityartha. The one who has those adorable qualities that are worthy of being served, such a person has to be served. Even if he does not have money, material wealth, or prakriti today. Okay. Let us say that there is a fine person, okay, whom you see as a very capable king, okay, but he does not have the means to rule today, or probably he has lost his kingdom for some other reason, or he is not able to, he is not even a king now, but he can be potentially he's a good king. If you see that, you have to serve him. Like Chanakya served Chandragupta Maurya, right? Chanakya was the person who, saw these stellar qualities in Chandragupta Maurya, and he enabled him become the king, and he served him throughout. He guided him throughout, right? So at the time when Chanakya started, what can we say? Making Chandragupta Maurya into a fine king, into a samrat, he started to sculpt him. He did not have anything with him. He did not have much wealth. Okay, he did not have dravya. There was no material support, right? And he was also deprived of prakriti. Now, prakriti, commonly the word prakriti refers to one's own nature, right? Swaprakriti, swabhava prakriti, or nature in general is also called prakriti. But in Artha Shastra, in Niti Shastra, it's a technical term. Okay. So 7 things refer to prakriti. Swam yamatyau puram rashtram kosha dandau suhrittatha sapta prakritayo hyeta saptangam rajyamuchyate. Okay. So Swami, okay, the king. Amatya is the minister, and then Puram is your fort. Okay, Puram. And then Rashtra is your territory, wherever you are ruling. And then Kosha is treasure, right? And then Danda and Suhrit. Just a moment. In this context, I think Danda refers to Danda refers to an army. Okay, Danda refers to an army, and then Suhrit refers to allies. Suhrit normally refers to friends, here allies. And then, so these are the Sapta Prakritis, okay, in the context of a kingdom. It's Swami, used to have a king, and then a minister, and then a fort, and then a territory to rule, and then treasure, then army, and then allies. So a king whom you identify as savior, but does not have any of this. Now, Dravya is Dravyena hinaha, Prakritya hinaha api Yadi saha sevya gunanvitaha vartate. Yadi kopi sevya gunanvitaha vartate. He has qualities that are worthy of service. Saha sevyaha bhavati. He has to be served. He has to be served in the sense, a wise man should choose to serve such a person, not just, ignore him. He is a fine person, but what is the use of being a fine person? Let us ignore and go to somebody who is, having a lot of money and other things, but does not have sevya gunas. So if a person chooses like that, he is going to be in for a loss. In the long term, he is going to suffer. Because by serving such a person, tasmat, kalantaradapi ajivanam phalam bhavati. See, you may get your result a bit late. Kalantarat phalam kadachit bhavati. Phala, the result of serving such a person may not be immediate. Kalantarat bhavati. It comes late in time. But then, ajivanam phalam bhavati. But the result that you get, it is for life. Because that person will remember for life that you have trusted him when no one else trusted him. So, one has to make use of such an opportunity and serve such a king. This is what this verse is teaching us. Next one. Apisthanuvadasinaha sushyan parigataha kshudha natvevanatma sampannad vrittimiheta panditaha. Apisthanuvadasinaha shushyan parigataha kshudha natvevanatma sampannad vrittimiheta panditaha. Apisthanuvati asinaha shushyan parigataha kshudha natu yeva natveva anatma sampannat vrittim iheta panditaha. Natu yeva anatma sampannat vrittim iheta panditaha. So what is the primary purport of this subhashita or this verse? Panditaha anatma sampannat natuyeva vrittim iheta. So a wise person, vidwan, panditaha, anatma sampannat rajnyaha, from a king who is anatma sampanna. See, atma sampanna, here atma refers to not the atma that we talked about in Vedanta, but we can understand atma as mind here. Okay, so chitta, one who has a very fine chitta can be called a very fine mind. Okay, so all the essential qualities that are required for a great king, the mind, the king who possesses such a fine mind, such a fine intellect, such a fine king is called an atma sampanna. The opposite of that is anatma sampanna, one who does not have fine qualities. From such a person, from such a king, natu eva vrittim iheta. A pandita should never attempt to get his vritti, to get his livelihood, to attempt to earn his livelihood from such a king. It is very dangerous. Okay. So, when is this advised? Okay. So, can such a king be resorted to when one is in trouble? Let us say when one is, in fear of one's life. Okay. At least at such a time, can I serve a king who is, not that great? Okay. The shloka says, no, never, in no situation should you do that. Kshudha shushyan sthanuvat asinaha parigataha api panditaha. So you can also, parigataha can also be kshudha parigataha shushyan sthanuvad asinaha. It will be better, I think. So kshudha parigataha. So kshut refers to hunger. So kshudha parigataha. Paritaha means on all sides. So parigata means surrounded, but here it can mean to be overwhelmed. Okay. To just have lot of hunger. That is, you have not had food for a very long time. You do not know. You might die if you do not consume food now. Okay. Even in such a state. Kshudha parigataha. Shushyan. Okay. He is drying up. Okay, he's drying up, not having food for a very long time. Shushyan, Sthanuvate asinaha api. So drying up just like a log of wood. Okay. Sthanu is a log. Okay. Sthanuvate asinaha. It will not move anywhere. It's just staying, lying down in one place and drying up. And it is very, very, its hunger is just too much, even in such a state. Shudha parigataha shushyan sthanuvad asinaha api panditaha anatma sampannat natuyeva vritti miheta. He should never attempt to earn his livelihood from such a person. It is very, very dangerous. Such a person should not be entertained at all. Why? First, because such a person is not good, for the society as such. So there is no point in serving such a king and encouraging him and advising him. Advice whatsoever. It's not good for the society and personally not good, individually not good for this person. The sevaka, it is a very, very dangerous situation because he will never be rewarded properly. He will not be appreciated. So he is not supposed to approach such a king whatsoever, whatever be the situation. Even in case of do or die situation, life or death situation, a person is not supposed to approach such a king. Kshudha, it's an interesting word. Kshut, and it's a Strilinga Shabda, and it's Tritiya Vibhakti. Okay, Kshudha, it can, it can appear like nominative usage. Okay, Kshudha itself can appear to be in Prathama Vibhakti, but it's actually in Tritiya Vibhakti. Okay, and Asinaha Upavishtaha ityarthaha. Okay, seated like a log of wood. Sthanuvat asinaha api, even in such a case where he is dying because of hunger and just lying there like a log of wood. Upavishtaha ityarthaha. And then Shushyan, you have Shushu. We have seen Shatru Pratyaya in so many cases. This also has Shatru Pratyaya. Shush Dhatu, then Shatru Pratyaya, Prathama Vibhakti Ekavachana. We get Shushyan, Shushyanto, Shushyantaha. Evam Rupena Rupani. Hope this is clear. Go to the next verse. Sevaka Swaminam Dveshti Kripanam Parushaksharam Atmanam Kimsana Dveshti Sevya Sevyam Navettiyaha. Sevaka Swaminam Dveshti Kripanam Parushaksharam Atmanam Kimsana Dveshti Sevya Sevyam Navettiyaha. Sevakaha Swaminam Dveshti Kripanam Parushaksharam Parusha Aksharam Atmanam Kim Saha Nadveshti Sevya Asevyam Na Vetti Yaha. So, what does this verse say? It says that the duty of identifying a good king lies in the hand of the Sevaka only. So, if a Sevaka is somehow stuck with a very rash king, okay, with an arrogant king, suppose a Sevaka is stuck there in his servitude, it's after all the mistake of the Sevaka because he did not put enough efforts in identifying who is a savior and who is an asavya. That's why the author says, Kripanam Parushaksharam Swaminam Sevakaha Dveshti. It is natural for the Sevaka, a Sevaka, to hate a Swami who is Kripana and Parushakshara. Kripana is a miser. Whatever the Sevaka does, this person will never give any reward whatsoever. Okay. So he is a Kripana. Kripanam Swaminam Sevakaha Dveshti. It is natural that a Sevaka will not be very happy with such a king, with a miserly king. And also, he is Kripana. Moreover, he is Parushakshara. He does not know to speak fine words, to speak nice words. Madhuraksharani yaha bhashitum najanati saha Parushaksharaha. Parushakshara. Parusham. So it is the opposite of Madhura. Katu. He speaks very, very harsh words. So see, a Sevaka can even put up with a Kripana Swami. Okay. He's not giving me money, fine. Okay. It's not rewarding me enough. But if he's going to talk in a very pleasing manner, perhaps the Sevaka will stay. Okay. But this Swami is both a Kripana and a Parushakshara. So Tadrisham Swaminam Sevakaha Dveshtyeva. Parantu Yaha Sevya Sevyam Navetti. So the one who does not know who is Sevya and who is Asevya, who is worthy of serving and who is not worthy of serving, Saha Kim Atmanam Nadveshti. So should he not have a grudge over himself? Should he not hate himself for not being able to identify such a king? So hating a miserly and very bad-mouthed Swami is equivalent to hating oneself, because after all, he has not put enough efforts in identifying the right patron, is the idea. We have Dveshti. So this is in Adadi Gana, Dvitiya Gana. Okay. So Vetti is also from that Gana only. So Vidadhatu also forms in the second Gana. So the distinct feature of the second Gana is you do not have any Vikarana Pratyaya added in this Gana. That is why it will, it does not sound like other Kriyas. See, for example, you have Bhavati. Bhu is the Dhatu, from there we get Bhavati. Why? Because from between Bhu and Ti. See, Ti is the Pratyaya that denotes the Lakara and Bhu is the Dhatu. In between, there is a Pratyaya called a Vikarana Pratyaya that changes according to the Ganas. There are 10 Ganas. Okay. So, for example, the first Gana, Bhuadi Gana, Vikarana Pratyaya, A is added. Okay. Shap is there, but then of course, A is what remains. So, Bhu, A, Ti, it becomes Bhavati. Similarly, you take some other Gana. Okay. So, we have Shak. Okay, Shak is the Dhatu, and then we have Ti, and then it becomes, but the Kriya Rupa, the Rupa is Shaknoti. From somewhere we have the Na sound. That's because of the Pratyaya that is added in between. Okay. Similarly, each Gana, so we have, suppose for example, we have Dha Dhatu, becomes Dadhati, or Da Dhatu, it becomes Dadati. Okay, because doubling up happens and then the Pratyaya is added. But in this Gana, Adadi Gana, there is no Vikarana Pratyaya in between. Okay, so it's just the Dhatu and then there is the, the Lakara is added at the end. So we get Dveshti, Vetti, Atti. All these belong to the second Gana. So Dveshti, Dvisha Dhatu, Adadi Gana, Parasmaipada, Latlakara, Prathama Purusha, Ekavachana Rupa. Go to the next verse. Yamashrityana Vishramam Kshudharta Yanti Sevakaha Sorkavan Nrupatistyajya Sada Pushpa Phalopisan. Yamashrityana Vishramam Kshudharta Yanti Sevakaha Sorkavan Nrupatistyajya Sada Pushpa Phalopisan. So again, it is about how a person has to immediately shun up a Swami who does not treat the Sevakas properly. Yam Ashritya, Yam Rajanam Ashritya, Yam Swaminam Ashritya. So taking refuge in the kind of king, Kshudhartaha Sevakaha Vishramam Nayanti. So whose Sevakas do not get enough rest. Vishramam Nayanti. They do not have rest at all. And they are Kshudhartaha. Kshudhaya Artaha. So again, Kshudha is another word for hunger. Okay. So Kshud, in the Tritiya Vibhakti, it becomes Kshudha. That is hunger. Kshudha itself refers to hunger. Okay. Kshudhaya Artaha. So suffering because of hunger. That is, they are not properly fed. Here it does not just refer to physical hunger, but hunger in all ways. Okay. So the unsatisfied Sevaka who does not get enough, who does not get proper rest, he's always agitated, he's always unhappy, does not have peace of mind. So here again, Vishrama is not just physical Vishrama, mental Vishrama. A Sevaka is supposed to be extremely happy. He's supposed to be kept happily by the king so that he can enjoy all the benefits of his Seva. And the Sevaka in turn will be happy to provide his service. So that should be the mental state of the Sevaka. But if that is not the case, Sevakaha yam ashritya Vishramam nayanti saha nripatihi. Tadrishaha nripaha, nripatihi, raja, that kind of a king, that king, sada pushpaphalassannapi arkavatyajyaha. So that person has to be shunned. Okay, that king has to be shunned. How? Like a person ignores an arka plant. Arka, irukku we say in Tamil, irukkampu. So that is offered to Lord Vinayaka. Okay, that is arka pushpa. But usually that it has pushpa. In fact, Vinayaka is the only deity who takes the arka flower. I think to no other deity we offer arka flowers. Okay. It is usually ignored. That flower is not at all considered auspicious, and it is not taken for any auspicious event, or we do not offer it to any deity. But then the plant has pushpa and phala. It is not that it does not flower, it does not give fruit or anything like that. It happens, it does have pushpa and phala, but it is not entertained. It is not it is not like, let us say, a kamala pushpa. The way we treat a kamala pushpa, you don't treat an arka pushpa. So an arka plant, the way it is ignored and shunned, the Nripati who does not take care of his sevakas in a nice manner is also to be shunned. No doubt in that. So we have to keep track of what all this is about. All this is about seva dharma. So Damanaka is just pointing out to Karataka that, oh brother, you please don't think that I know nothing of seva. I know a lot of things about seva. Please listen to me expounding seva dharma. So he is talking about seva dharma in a detailed manner. So these aspects are very, very important. Okay. Who has to be served, how he has to be served, how the person is to be chosen, etc., etc. Rajamatari devyancha kumare mukhyamantrini purohite pratihare sadavarteta rajavat. Sorry, screen sharing stopped. So Rajamatari devyancha kumare mukhyamantrini purohite pratihare sadavarteta rajavat. This is another aspect of seva dharma. How should a sevaka, how should he treat various people? Rajamatari devyamcha kumare mukhyamantrini purohite pratihare sadavarteta rajavat. Sada rajavat varteta. You always act the way you would act with a king. The way you would treat a king, these people are also to be treated. So with respect to all these people, the same treatment, that which is accorded to the king, has to be given to these people also. This is an important lesson for a sevaka. He is not supposed to treat them any differently. If he does so, he will be in trouble. So he has to know this. What is that? So who are those people? Rajamatari. So the Rajamata of the kingdom. Okay. So a person who is the biological mother of the king, or somebody else who is in such a position, who is in a position to guide the king. Okay. Such a person is a Rajamata. So with respect to her, Devyam, Devi is the queen, the wife of the king. And then Kumara is the heir. Okay. He is the Uttaradhikari to the king. The son, biological son, or if in the absence of a biological son, an Uttaradhikari. And then Mukhyamantrini, so the Pradhana Mantri also has to be given the same respect and the same treatment. And then Purohita, so the one who is advising to the king, the priest to the king, Purohita. Sometimes the same person can be a Purohita and a Pradhana Mantri, otherwise it can vary also in any case. And then Pratihara is the gatekeeper to the king. So all these people have to be given the same respect that is accorded with the king. Otherwise, the sevaka will be in trouble because these people are very close to the king, right? So a sevaka has to take care when dealing with these people is the idea. Next one. Jiveti prabruvan proktaha kritya vichakshanaha karoti nirvikalpam yaha sabhaved rajavallabhaha. Jiveti prabruvan proktaha kritya kritya vichakshanaha karoti nirvikalpam yas sabhaved rajavallabhaha. So we are going to have a couple of verses which says sabhaved rajavallabhaha, sabhaved rajavallabhaha. He is the one who is going to be the favorite of a king. Okay? He is going to become a close accomplice to the king. Rajavallabhaha. Rajnyaha pritipatram bhavishyati. So he becomes somebody who is well appreciated, and the king develops a liking towards these kind of people. Who are they? We're going to have 2 or 3 verses. Yaha prokta jiva iti prabruvan proktaha kritya akritya vichakshanaha karoti nirvikalpam yaha saha bhavet rajavallabha. Saha Rajavallabha bhavet. He becomes a Rajavallabha. He becomes a Pritipatra to the king. He becomes a person who is affection, whom the king develops an affection to. Okay. Who is he? Yaha Prokta San. Proktaha means he, when he is told. Here, to be told means to be instructed. So when instructed, how does a person accomplish the action? He is, suppose a sevaka is instructed to perform a certain action. The way he accomplishes the action makes an impression on the king, right? So how should he accomplish it? Jiveti prabruvanne nirvikalpam karoti. So he says, long live the king is the first thing that comes out of his mouth. Long live the king. Jiveti prabruvanne nirvikalpam karyam karoti. Yati proktam. Yati karyam rajnya choditam vartate. That which has been, instructed by the king, he has to do it in a nirvikalpa fashion. Nirvikalpa means when he is instructed, he does not hesitate a bit. No kind of, here vikalpa refers to hesitation. So he does it without any hesitation, no questions asked. You're telling me, I will do it. I know how to accomplish it. Okay. It could be a difficult task. You should not go and complain to your master that, oh, you know that such a task has a lot of difficulties, etc., etc. Then the person is not fit for the job. Okay. So all great, so even in today's context, we can think of, let us say there is a prime minister for our country, and then there is, let us say, there is a chief advisor to the prime minister. Let us say there is our national security advisor who is very, very famous. Okay. So he accomplishes tasks. Okay. He does not come back every time and report every small matter to the prime minister. Then he will not be fit for the job, right? So when the prime minister, in the present scenario, or in the case of a king, let us say a king gives an order to a sachiva, to a sevaka, the person is to accomplish it no matter what. If he brings out, shows his hesitancy to the king, then the king will conclude that this person is not capable. So even if he is hesitant, even if he has ideas about how difficult the task is, and if he does not have an immediate plan of action to accomplish the task, he's not supposed to express it to the king. So, nirvikalpam karoti. As far as the king is concerned, I gave him a task, he accomplished it. That's what the king wants. Nirvikalpam karoti. And saha kritya kritya vichakshanaha bhavati. He should be of taking decisions independently. He is a vichakshana. He is a pandita himself. He knows what is to be done, what is not to be done. So suppose a king instructs something and the person has his own opinion, it's not a fine idea. He's not supposed to immediately tell that to the king. Then the king will take offense. He has to look for the right moment and then tell the king as to why this has to be done, why this should not be done, etc., etc. This we see it is applicable at all times, even today. So it can apply not just in the case of a king and a sachiva or anything, anywhere, wherever there is hierarchy in our own office. Because suppose we report to a boss is very busy, right? He has multiple people to attend to. So a sevaka is just one person. Okay? So when a boss tells us something and immediately we say no, we know that really angers the boss because he has 100 other things. So but then the same boss, he will listen to the same thing in a better manner if we look for the opportune moment and tell him at the right time, right? So we have to be kritya kritya vichakshana. You should know what is to be done, what is not to be done, when it is to be done. You have to know all this. Evam yadi kopi bhavet, tarhi saha rajavallabhaha bhavet. So in due course, he will earn the love of the king. He will win his affection and he will become his close aid. Prabhu prasadajam vittam satpatreyo niyojayet vastradyancha dadhatyange sabhaved rajavallabhaha. Prabhu prasadajam vittam satpatreyo niyojayet vastradyancha dadhatyange sabhaved rajavallabhaha. Prabhu prasadajam vittam satpatre yaha niyojayet vastradyam cha dadhati ange saha bhavet rajavallabhaha. Yaha Prabhu prasadajam vittam. So the one Prabhu prasadaja, okay. Prabhu prasadat jayate Prabhu prasadajam, like pankat jayate iti pankajam. So that which comes out of panka is pankaja. That which comes out of panka is the malina jala. Okay, that is found. Okay, we say kichad in Hindi. Right? I don't know. I'm not able to get the right word in English. That is where in muddled waters is where a kamala grows. Right? Not in clean waters. You cannot find lotus growing there. So that's why it's called a pankaja. So Prabhu prasadajam vittam. So that money that comes from Prabhu prasada, that comes as a result of Prabhu prasada, some kind of a prasada, your Swami is happy with you for some reason, is giving you something that is prasada. Whatever the Prabhu gives is a prasada. So whatever money that comes out of that Prabhu prasada, yaha satpatre niyojayet, the person who spends the money in right places, in good places. Satpatre. Satpatra is a patra is a container, right? So here satpatra means in the right place. Yaha niyojayet, the one who niyojana means to take it and join it, right? So the one who makes use of that money, puts it in good place, in fine place, he spends it wisely. Vastradyam cha ange dadhati. So if the king is going to say, let us say he's going to gift him some fine vastra or some other fine ornament, all these things he has to wear and show that he is very happy with that. Okay, not that you receive something from the king and then this is not of my taste, let me put it somewhere, or let me give it off to somebody else. If that is the attitude, the king won't be pleased. But if you express your gratitude when the king is pleased with you, basically that is the idea. You express your gratitude to the king openly, that I am very grateful that you are happy with me, then the king will be more happy. Saha rajavallabhaha bhavet. So he will be more dear to the king. Then antah puracharai sardham vyoma-mantram samacharet nakalatrair narendrasya sabhaved rajavallabhaha. Antah puracharai sardham vyoma-mantram samacharet nakalatrair narendrasya sabhaved rajavallabhaha. Yaha, the one sevaka who does not involve antah-puracharas. Okay. So the antah-purachara, so once the ladies especially who are present in the close quarters of the king, who are present in his private area, antah-pura. Okay, that is the private area of the king. So those ladies who are going around there with them, and Narendrasya Kalatraihi cha, and with the wives of the king. The one who does not mantram yaha nasamachare. Mantram here refers to confidential things. Those who does not talk confidential things with the wives of the kings, that person becomes the favorite of a king. Saha rajavallabhaha bhavet. Because various ideas are there as to why this is there, but one reason I could possibly think of is that The Antapura is a place where a king wants to be free of all these things, all this nonsense, right? Whatever is his, worldly matters that he is engaging with every day, he wants to be free of that when he comes home. We see that even today, right? A person who is working, okay, he has to encounter so many things in the office every day, right? With his boss and all kinds of competition, right? So basically, as far as a man is concerned, the outside world is a place for him to compete, right? So it is a competitive world outside, and he's actually comfortable engaging with that competitive world, and he does it throughout the day. And when he comes to his Antapura at the end of the day, he does not want competition again, right? So he does not want his partners to be discussing matters and giving advice on top of it. Because see, these ladies, whoever it is, that might come to know of, let us say, a policy decision. We all have our own opinions, right? So these people might come up with their own ideas, and they will start offering advice on that, which a person does not like, because that again becomes like an equal competitor who is working in the same domain, right? So as far as the traditional environment is concerned, the domain of work of a man and a woman are totally different. They are complementary. They are not competitive, right? So both of them don't even involve themselves in the same area. So that is why the king will not prefer this. Okay, he does not want advice from his wives. Okay, it's better that they do something else. Okay, and he will. In fact, he is looking for that, and he's coming to the Antapura. He's coming there for solace and peace of mind. Does not want competitive behavior there also. But invariably, what will happen if confidential matters go out of hand and they reach the ears of these people out of concern or out of other reasons? These people will start discussing it, which is usually irritating for the king. So a sevaka who does this will naturally be disliked by the king, most likely fired. So if you want to be a Raja Vallabha, you don't do this. You don't talk confidential matters. Don't gossip, basically, with the Antapuracharas and with the king's wives. It's the idea. So I think we can stop here. We'll see if there are any questions. No. Dadhati and dadati have different meanings. Okay. So dadati means to give. Dadhatu. Dha dhatu, you get dadhati. Okay. Dadhati, dhatte has a different meaning. It means to put, to take, to obtain. So many meanings are there. And here vastradyancha ange dadhati means the one who wears all this, the one who puts on the clothes that are gifted by the king. So dadhati and dadati have different meanings. They come from different dhatus. Khartom, I'm sorry, could you please let me know where it comes? Khartom, what is the word? I'm not able to understand. Richard Mahodaya, can you, I'll share my screen again. Where does this come? Kalatra. Kalatra. Kalatra is the wife. Kalatra means wife. Kalatra, Patni, Bharya, all these mean refer to the wife. It's an interesting word because Kalatram is actually an Napumsakalinga Shabda. It refers to the Patni, but it is a Kalatram, Kalatre, Kalatrani, Deva Rupani Bhavanti. It's an Napumsakalinga Shabda. So interestingly, the word Bharya has words in all the three genders in Sanskrit. There is a pada called Daraha. There is a Shabda. Daraha. It's a Pullinga Shabda. And it means wife. Okay. And it is Nitya Bahuvachana Shabda. Nitya Bahuvachana. So Daraha, Daran, Evameva Bhavati. So Kalatram is again in Napumsakalinga. Bharya, Patni, all these words are in Strilinga only. So Seveta is Vidhiling. Seveta is Vidhiling because and Atmane Pada Vidhiling. Seva Dhatu is Atmane Pada Dhatu. So you have Sevate, Sevete, Sevante. Lati rupani evam bhavanti. This is seveta is vidhiling. No, dushara. It's not dushara. Sukrishta dushara diva. There is a sandhi there. Sukrishtat usharat iva. It is usharaha only. Pratihara is a gatekeeper. This is clear. Bhavet is again kriya pada. Yes, vidhiling. Okay. So sun refers to being. It's again a Shatru Pratyayanta word only. Sat. Okay. So it becomes Prathama vibhakto ekavachane san iti bhavati. Santaha iti bahuvachanam san iti ekavachane rupam bhavati. It means being. Okay. So hope it is clear. No other questions. I have to close the class now because we have another class that is due at 8 o'clock. So I'll take questions tomorrow. Samapayamaha. Dhanyavadaha. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.